Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another wonderful episode of Those Thrilling Days of Yesteryear, a live recreation of some of your favorite shows from the golden age of radio. Now, it's hard to imagine that this film that we're going to be doing today was actually unsuccessful when it was released back in 1946. It was noted nowadays as one of the best films ever to never win an Oscar, and it's also rated as one of the #1 inspirational films of all time. And when it came out, nobody really cared. Kind of strange. And amazingly, Christmas just doesn't seem like Christmas without it playing somewhere in the movie theaters or on TV or somewhere. And in fact, just for a moment, imagine what it might be like if this film had never been made. We wouldn't have the classic Saturday Night Live sketches depicting that lost scene when they discover Potter had all the money all the time. And they went and, beat the crap out of him. We wouldn't have those memorable Sesame Street characters, Bert and Ernie. Legend has it, although there is some discrepancy about it, that the two characters were named after the characters in the film. Alfalfa from the Little Rascals wouldn't have a revived, albeit short-lived, career. Families wouldn't gather around the Christmas tree and try to out-recite memorable lines to each other. And we would all have no idea how angels got their wings. In fact, just for a moment, imagine how many lives have been touched by this film, the thousands and millions of people who may at one time have felt just like George Bailey did. And in that moment of desperation and hopelessness, they remembered this film and perhaps felt a little more encouraged to continue on, knowing that no man is a failure who has friends. And we wouldn't have a Lux Radio Theater version that nearly 64 years later, a group of actors in Chicago would have the pleasure and honor of recreating for their community, not once, but twice. As we mentioned, we did the show back in 2003. Now, at the time, I had believed that there were no other theaters doing this show as a stage performance. And now today, you see a lot of other theaters doing this show. I like to think that we were the first. And perhaps in some way, we were an inspiration for all of those others. Then again, we may just have been one in a long line of fans who simply love sharing this magical story with as many people as possible. And it's hard to see sometimes just how important we are to this world. In fact, to quote Clarence, "Strange, isn't it? Each man's life touches so many others' lives. When he isn't around, he leaves an awful hole, doesn't he?" And I guess it's true for this film, too. Speaking of touching lives, to remind you all that we are dedicating each of our 10th anniversary shows to a different local charity. And today, we celebrate the Oak Park Senior Center. So we ask you please to contribute whatever you can to help in this holiday season. And perhaps it's just a little way to let all those seniors know that they have had a wonderful life, as we all have. And speaking of a wonderful life, we are going to recreate this wonderful radio adaptation for you just as it aired, complete with music, sound effects, and angel bells a-ringing. And while you are listening, you might pretend that you are one of those who had the fortune of being in the live studio audience as they watch their favorite performers do their thing. Or perhaps you just may wish to sit back, relax, close your eyes, and imagine that you are sitting in your old living room in front of that Philco radio, anxiously awaiting for your favorite show to begin. So join us now as we take you back to those thrilling days of yesteryear.
Lux presents Hollywood. Lever Brothers Company, the makers of Lux Toilet Soap, bring you the Lux Radio Theater, starring James Stewart, Donna Reed, and Victor Moore in It's a Wonderful Life. Ladies and gentlemen, your producer, Mr. William Keeley.
Greetings from Hollywood, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight we bring you one of the season's most inspiring hits, a Liberty Films production that's been nominated for the highest screen award. Yes, It's a Wonderful Life. And we present it now with its original fine stars, Jimmy Stewart and Donna Reed. Jimmy in the role which won him a nomination for the Best Performance of the Year. Also in our cast is starred that fine comedian Victor Moore. It's a Wonderful Life is the drama of a typical American. Might be you, it might be me. He dreams of glory. He lives in hope. He loves and doubts, and only Providence puts a final value on his service to humanity. Our story starts before the war, when life was normal. Shortages were generally unknown, and simple luxuries, like Lux soap, were abundant. I won't say that's the only reason people said it's a wonderful life, but I do know from the thousands of letters in our files that most of them said, it's a wonderful soap. And they keep saying it day after day. In fact, the popularity of Lux soap is what makes it possible to present such entertainment as Frank Capra's great production, It's a Wonderful Life, starring Jimmy Stewart as George, Donna Reed as Mary Hatch, and Victor Moore as Clarence. This is the story of George Bailey, citizen of Bedford Falls, New York. George Bailey, who more than anything under the sun wanted to see the world, the wonderful, exciting world that lay somewhere beyond the limits of his hometown. Oddly enough, this story does not begin in Bedford Falls. In fact, it doesn't begin anywhere in the world. It begins in heaven, where the superintendent of angels has just summoned an apprentice angel named Clarence.
I'm really going down to Earth, sir? Oh, that's splendid.
Yes, there's a very discouraged man down there, Clarence, George Bailey. At exactly 10:45 p.m. Earth time, he'll be thinking seriously of ending his life.
Oh, dear, dear. His life.
Now, I want you to stop him if you can. Now, sit down. I'll give you Bailey's case history.
Sir, if I should accomplish my mission, may I perhaps get my wings? I've been waiting over 200 years now. Well, people are beginning to talk.
Clarence, what's that book?
The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, sir. I was reading it when you sent for me.
Oh, fine book, excellent. Well, you do a good job on George Bailey, and we'll see about your wings.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Now listen, when George Bailey was a boy, two events occurred that you should keep in mind. One was when his young brother Harry fell through the ice and almost drowned. George saved him.
Brother fell through the ice. George saved him.
Ever since, George had a bad ear. Oh, that icy water, well, you understand.
Bad ear. Yes, sir.
And the other event came a few months later. George used to work after school in Mr. Gower's drugstore. One day, Mr. Gower's only son died of influenza. It was a terrible blow, and poor Mr. Gower tried to lose his grief in whiskey.
Where you been, George? Mrs. Blaine's called twice. What's happened to her prescription? You lost it, didn't you?
No, Mr. Gower.
You lazy good-for-nothing. Don't you know that Blaine's girl is very sick?
Oh, Mr. Gower, my ear. You're hurting my sore ear.
I'll teach you to loaf, you lazy brat.
Oh, Mr. Gower, you don't know what you're doing. You put something wrong in those capsules. I know you feel bad, but look, Mr. Gower, look, this bottle. You use this bottle to make up the capsules. It's poison.
Poison?
Don't hurt my sore ear again,
Poison?
Mr. Gower.
Oh, George.
It's what you delivered, Mr. Gower. All I wanted
George.
was to make sure.
George.
Well, Clarence, that was George Bailey as a boy. When he grew up, he wanted to go to college, but there just wasn't the money. So he worked 4 years in the Building and Loan Association.
Building and Loan Association?
Oh, I forgot to tell you. George's father was in the building and loan business. He and George's Uncle Billy. High ideals and low bank account. Anyway, George worked for his father and saved enough to see him through the university. That summer, though, he was going to go to Europe. Got a job on a cattle boat. Do a little traveling before college.
Boy, oh boy, it's hard to realize it's my last day at the old Bailey boarding house.
We're sure gonna miss you, George.
Oh, I'm gonna miss you too, Pop. Hey, what's the matter? You look tired.
Oh, I had another tussle with old Henry Potter today.
Oh, I thought when you put him on the board of directors, he'd ease up.
So did I.
I just can't understand a man like Mr. Potter. He can't begin to spend all the money he gets.
I guess Potter owns just about everything he wants in Bedford Falls, except our building and loan. That's why he hates us.
Hey, George, can I borrow your tuxedo studs?
Yeah, help yourself, Harry.
Where are they? In your suitcase?
Well, I'm not taking a tuxedo on a cattle boat, you know.
Say, where'd you get that suitcase anyway?
Oh, Mr. Gower, going away present. One of these days, you're going to see that bag all covered with travel labels. Italy and Baghdad and San
You're
Arcade.
gonna have a pretty full summer, eh?
Yeah, I'm going to have a pretty full life.
Hey, why don't you come down to the dance tonight?
What? And be bored to death?
Well, you couldn't want a better death. Lots of pretty girls.
Hey, I gotta hurry.
I wish we could send Harry off to college with you, George.
Oh, no, we got that all figured out now, Pop. He'll take over my job at the building and loan, work 4 years like I did, and then he'll go.
He's pretty young for that job.
Well, no younger than I was.
Maybe you were born older, George. George, when you get out of college, I don't suppose you'll come back to the building and loan.
Oh, no, Pop. I just couldn't. I couldn't face being cooped up for the rest of my life in that shabby little office. I'm sorry, Pop. I didn't mean that. But this business of nickels and dimes, I'd go crazy. I want to do something big, something important.
In a small way, we are doing something important, George. In that shabby little office, we help people figure out how they can own their own home.
Oh, I know, Pop. I just wish I felt... I just feel like if I don't get away, I'll bust.
You're right, boy. You get yourself an education, then get out of here.
Oh, Pop, you want a shock? I think you're a pretty great guy.
Well, thanks, George. I'm glad to hear it. Look, why don't you go on over to Harry's dance? You'd have a good time.
Well, I don't know. Maybe I will drop in. Maybe I will at that.
So, George Bailey went to the dance. Is that important, Joseph?
Why, it was at the dance he met Mary Hatch.
Oh.
And 3 hours later, he was walking her home. George and Mary were feeling pretty good, Clarence. As a matter of fact, wonderful.
Buffalo gals, can't you come out tonight? Can't you come out tonight? Can't you come out tonight? Buffalo gals, can't you come out tonight?
And dance by the light of the moon. Dog, just like an organ.
At least.
Gee whiz. You know, if it wasn't me talking, I'd say you were the prettiest girl in town.
Well, why don't you say it?
I don't know. Maybe I will say it. Hey, how old are you anyway?
18.
18?
Was that too young or too old?
No, just right. Yeah, it sort of fits you. Hey, look where we are.
Oh, the old Granville house.
Yeah. I gotta throw a rock.
Oh, no, don't. I love that old house.
No, don't you know about deserted houses? You make a wish and then you throw a rock.
Oh, George, but it's such a lovely old place. I wish I lived there.
In there? Oh, I would live in it as a ghost. Now, watch this. Here we go. How about it, huh? Good shot, huh? Broke a window, huh?
What'd you wish for, George?
Oh, I don't know. Not just one wish, a whole hatful, Mary. I'm shaking the dust off this crummy little town off my feet, and I'm going to see the world. Italy, Greece, the Parthenon, the Colosseum. And then I'm coming back here and go to college and see what they know. And then I'm going to build things. I'm going to build airfields and skyscrapers 100 stories high and bridges a mile long. And then I'm going to... Hey, Mary, what is it you want? What do you want, huh? You want the moon? All you do is just say the word and I'll throw a lasso.
Okay, the moon. I'll take it. Then what?
Well, then what? Well, then you could swallow it and it'd dissolve like an aspirin, you know? And the moonbeams would shoot out of your fingers and the ends of your hair, and you think I'm talking too much?
Yes! Why don't you kiss her instead of talking her to death?
How's that?
Youth is wasted on the wrong people.
Hey, just a minute, mister. You come back here, I'll show you some kissing that'll really make you...
George!
What? Hey, Uncle Billy, look, I'm going to kiss Mary.
Quick! Your father's had a stroke!
What? My father's had a...
George, get in, hurry!
Well, George's father died that night, Clarence. So, of course, George couldn't go to Europe. But that fall, just as he was ready to leave for college, the directors of the building and loan had a meeting. They were going to appoint a successor.
What was that you said, Mr. Potter?
I said, as long as Peter Bailey is dead, let's dissolve the building and loan. We don't need him.
Oh, wait a minute.
You wait a minute. Peter Bailey was not a businessman. Ideas without common sense can ruin a town. What do you get? A discontented, lazy rabble that, instead of a working 50 working class. Well, I meant no disrespect, George.
Well, no, wait a minute here. Now, why my father ever started this cheap penny-ante building and loan, I'll never know. You just remember this, Mr. Potter, that this rabble you're talking about, they do most of the working and paying and living and dying in this community. Well, is it too much to have them work and pay and live and die in a couple of decent rooms and a bath? Anyway, my father didn't think so. People were human beings to him, but to you, a warped, frustrated old man, they're cattle. Well, in my book, Mr. Potter, he died a much richer man than you'll ever be.
I'm not interested in your book, George. I'm talking about the building and loan.
And you're talking about something you can't get your fingers on and it's galling you. That's what you're talking about. Well, this town needs this measly one-horse institution, if only to have some place where people can borrow a few dollars without crawling to you. Now, come on, Uncle Billy.
What happened, George?
Yeah, all we heard was a bunch of yelling.
Oh boy, you should have heard George.
Yeah, well, they're in there voting us out of business.
Who cares? I can get another job. I'm only 41.
45.
When you get out of here, George, you missed your boat trip. Now you want to miss college too.
George, they voted Potter down. We're still in business.
Whoopee, we're still in business. We're still in business.
But they've got one condition, George. They've appointed you to take your father's place.
Appoint me? Oh, but I'm going to college. Look, this is my last chance. Uncle Billy's your man.
But George, you've got to take it. The vote was Potter otherwise.
I know George Bailey didn't go to college.
That's right, Clarence. He gave his college money to Harry. Harry went instead.
But what happened to that good-looking girl, Mary?
Oh, George saw her every now and then. Not very often, though, because Mary went away to school, too. Anyway, George waited 4 years more for Harry to come back and take over the building and loan. He could still see the world. He planned to work in the oil fields in Venezuela. Except when Harry came home, he wasn't alone. There was a girl with him, his wife.
George! George!
Well, out here on the porch, Mother. I just thought I'd get some air. Hello, Mom.
How do you like your new sister-in-law?
Oh, she's swell.
Looks like she could keep Harry on his toes.
Yeah, keep him out of Bedford Falls, anyway.
What do you mean?
Well, Ruth's father, he got a wonderful job for Harry up in Buffalo.
Buffalo? Well, that means you...
Yeah.
You can't...
Yeah.
George, did you know Mary Hatch is back from school?
Yeah.
Nice girl, Mary. Oh, stop that grunting. Give me one good reason why you shouldn't call on Mary.
Well, Sam Wainwright. Sam's crazy about Mary.
Well, she's not crazy about him.
Well, how do you know that? Like, did she discuss it with you?
And besides, Sam's away in New York.
Oh, and all fair in love and war, huh? I see. Well, okay, Mother. I think I'm going to go out and find a girl and do some passionate necking.
Oh, George!
Bye, Mrs. Bailey. By the way, do you want any books at the library?
Library? George, you go and see Mary, do you hear me? George? George, is that you out there?
Oh, hello, Mary.
Well, aren't you coming in?
Well, I just happened to be passing by.
Oh, I thought you were picketing. Have you made up your mind?
How's that?
Have you made up your mind?
About what?
About coming in. Your mother just phoned. She said you were coming over.
Mother just... What does she mean? I just happened to be passing by, that's all. I didn't...
Well?
I'll come in for a minute. I didn't tell anybody I was coming here. The fella can't go out for a walk now. When'd you get back?
Tuesday.
Oh, where'd you get that dress?
Do you like it?
Oh, it's all right.
Well, no point standing here on the porch. Come on in.
I still can't understand it. I didn't tell anybody I was coming here, you know.
Would you rather leave?
No, I don't want to be rude. Sit down for a while.
What's nice about your brother and Ruth, isn't it?
Yeah, they're all right.
Don't you like her?
Well, of course I like her. She's a peach.
Just marriage in general, you're not enthusiastic about it?
No. Marriage is right for a lot of people. All right for Harry, Sam Wainwright, and you.
For Sam and... Mary! It's George Bailey, Mother! What's he want? I don't know. What do you want?
Me? Not a thing. Not a thing. I just came in to get warm.
He's making violent love to me, Mother. You just tell him to go right back home. Sam said he called tonight from New York, didn't he? I guess so. George, how about some music?
Your mother needn't... I didn't come here to...
Well, what did you come here for?
Well, I don't know. You're supposed to be the one who has all the answers. You tell me.
Why don't you just go home?
I don't know why I came here in the first place. Good night.
George? He doesn't want to speak to George. He does though. We just asked for him.
Hey, did you call me? Because if you know, I'm in a hurry. I got.
Sam wants to talk to you.
Yeah. Hi, Sam.
Hey, you fine pal you are, trying to steal my girl.
Now, what do you mean? Nobody's trying to steal anybody's girl. Now, here, Mary, take the phone.
No, wait, George. I want to speak to you both. Tell Mary to get on the extension upstairs.
I can't.
He says for you to get on the extension upstairs.
No, I can't. Mother's on the extension.
I am not.
We can both hear, George. Just put your head a little closer.
Wait, what?
There. That's better. You know, we're listening, Sam.
Well, I have a big deal coming up that's going to make us all rich. Hey, George, remember that time you told me about making plastics out of soybeans?
Yeah, soybeans.
Well, my father's checked into it, George, see? And now he's going to put up a factory. How do you like that?
A factory.
Now, here's the point, George. I may have a job for you. Unless you're still married to that old broken-down building alone. Oh, Mary.
I'm here.
Would you tell that guy I'm giving him the chance of a lifetime? Do you hear?
He says it's the chance of a lifetime.
Give me that phone.
George! Here's George again, Sam. George!
Now, you listen to me, Mary. I don't want any plastics. I don't want any job, and I don't want to get married, ever, to anyone. You understand that? I want to do what I want to do. And you're not going to trick me, and you're... Mary. Oh, Mary.
George.
Mary, darling. Darling, I love you.
Well, so George Bailey and Mary Hatch were...
Yes, George and Mary were married. And they started off on their honeymoon in Ernie Bishop's taxicab.
Hey, where are you two going on this here now, honeymoon?
We're going to shoot the works, Ernie. A whole week in New York, a whole week in Bermuda, the highest hotels, the oldest champagne, the hottest music, and the prettiest wife.
Wow. So you're finally getting out of Bedford Falls, huh? Then what?
Oh, then what, honey?
Oh, after that, who cares?
That does it. Hey, you know, Mrs. Bailey, I haven't kissed you yet.
Hey, George, there's something funny going on over there. Look over there at the bank.
Huh? Pull over a minute, will you, Ernie?
George, let's not stop, please. Let's go straight to the station.
Yeah, I better see what it is. I'll be right back.
George, please! George!
In a few moments, we'll return with the second act of It's a Wonderful Life, starring James Stewart, Donna Reed, and Victor Moore. Meanwhile, here's our Hollywood reporter, Libby Collins. Looking very smart, too, may I say.
Well, thank you, Mr. Keeley. You know, after seeing Paulette Goddard's wardrobe for Paramount's new comedy, Suddenly It's Spring, I just had to rush out and buy something new. Looking at all those lovely clothes was just too much for my self-control.
Well, you look stunning, Libby.
Oh, thank you again, Mr. Keeley.
Well, tell me about the picture. I understand that Paulette's portrayal of an ex-whack is truly delightful.
Oh, yes, it is. And Fred McMurray gives a perfect characterization of her wayward husband. Between the two of them, Suddenly It's Spring is a high-spirited comedy with emphasis on the romantic side.
Well, naturally.
But really, Mr. Keeley, that wardrobe of Miss Goddard's certainly will make clothes-conscious girls sit up and take notice. I bet you think so too, Mr. Kennedy.
Well, Libby, men seldom know much about styles. What I notice about a dress is the general effect when a woman wears it. Some girls seem to have that right-on-the-beam look. You know what I mean.
Well, I think what you have in mind, Mr. Kennedy, is good grooming. Street stars certainly put great emphasis on it. A perfect hairdo, fresh, beautifully cared-for skin, those are essential.
That must be the reason Lux toilet soap continues to be a studio standby, no matter how often other styles change.
Well, that's what Miss Goddard told me. She says her beauty facials are so quick and easy and work so well, she's never without a supply of Lux toilet soap. I can depend on it for daily complexion care, she said.
I wish you'd tell the ladies in our audience how easy these Lux soap facials are, Libby.
Well, here's what Paulette Goddard does. She says, I cover my face with a fragrant Lux soap lather and work it well in. I rinse with warm water, then cold, and use a soft towel to pat my skin dry. It gives skin a quick new beauty, she says.
Daily Lux Soap's facials do make skin lovelier. Recent tests by skin specialists prove it. In 3 out of 4 cases, Complexions become softer and smoother in just a short time.
A lovely Lux complexion makes a woman so attractive. I wish every girl who hasn't tried Lux toilet soap would begin using it tomorrow.
That's sound advice, Libby. When 9 out of 10 screen stars recommend a beauty soap, you know it has to be good. So why not try Lux Toilet Soap, Hollywood's own complexion soap? We pause now for station identification. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System. Act 2 of It's a Wonderful Life, starring Jimmy Stewart as George, Donna Reed as Mary, and Victor Moore as Clarence.
Well, we're back in heaven again, where the superintendent of angels is reviewing the case history of a mortal named George Bailey. Clarence, the apprentice angel, is very eager to depart on his mission to the earth.
Poor George Bailey. Oh, he's certainly in desperate trouble, Joseph. I'll go to him at once.
Now you sit down, Clarence, sit down. We're nowhere near the point where George Bailey's thinking of taking his life.
We're not?
Now, where were we? Oh, yes. George and Mary had just started out on their honeymoon when they ran smack into the financial panic of 1932. In the waiting room of the building and loan, 100 frantic people were clamoring for their savings.
Hey, what's going on, Uncle Billy? What's happening? All those people out there.
Oh, this is a pickle, George. All I know is the bank called in our loan an hour ago. I have to hand over all our cash.
Holy mackerel!
Oh, the whole town's gone crazy. The bank's in the same spot we are.
Yeah, but our charter.
What about our charter?
Our charter says we have to stay open till 6 p.m. If this state can take away our license if we don't.
How can we stay open until 6 without any money? George, where are you going?
Out to talk to those people. Come on. Please, folks, just a minute now, please.
How about our money, George? Where's our money?
Come on now, please. Now, wait a minute. Now, listen to me. Now, you're thinking of this place all wrong. The money's not here. Now, wait a minute. Let me tell you now. Your money's in people's houses, in the Kennedy's house, and the McLaren's house, and your house, and in 100 others. Now, what are you going to do? Foreclose on them?
I got $240 in shares. Now let me have it.
All right, Charlie. Now, you'll get your money in 60 days.
60 days?
Yeah, well, that's what you agreed on when you bought your shares.
I got my money. All Potter's taking over the bank. He'll pay you 50 cents on the dollar.
Let's take all our shares to Potter. Half is better than nothing.
Wait a minute. Now, please, folks, please. Now, I beg of you not to do this. If Potter gets hold of your shares, he'll be owning this building and loan. He's got the bank, he's got the bus line, he's got the department stores, and now he's after us. Because he wants to keep you living in his shacks and paying the kind of rent he decides to charge. Now we can get through this thing all right, but we've got to stick together. We've got to have faith in each other.
My husband's out of work. We need money.
I got doctor bills to pay.
I can't feed my kids. I'm fed. How much do you need? We still got money.
Mary. Hey, Mary.
Here it is, George. You told me to hold on to it. Would have made a nice honeymoon. Bought furniture, too.
All right, now, wait a minute, everybody. Now, listen. Now, I've got $2,000. All right, now, Charlie, how much do you need?
$240.
Now, Charlie, now listen. Just enough to tide you over.
I said $240.
Okay. Uncle Billy, give Charlie $240. All right, now, Ed. Now, how much just to get by?
Well, $20, I suppose.
Oh, now you're talking. All right, now, Mrs. Thompson, how about you?
$20 will do me.
Good. $20. Uncle Billy, pay it back when you can now. Just pay it back. All right, now, who's next?
Look at the clock. Look.
5 seconds, 4 seconds, 3, 2, 1. 6 o'clock. We made it! Oh, lock the door. Use this quick. Boy, we're still in business, Uncle Billy. We've even got $2 left, huh?
George, there's a call for you.
Yeah, okay. And then call my wife, will you? She's probably over at her mother's.
Mrs. Bailey is on the line.
No, I don't want Mrs. Bailey. I want my wife, Mrs. Bailey. Mrs. Bailey. Oh, that's my wife. Well, give me the phone, will you? Hey, Mary. Listen, Mary, I'm sorry. Huh? Come home? Well, what home? 323 Sycamore? Well, what? Well, whose home is that? Well, Mary, how can I... Well, sure, all right, sure, I'll be there.
Clarence, guess what 323 Sycamore was?
His mother-in-law's house, huh?
Oh, no. Number 323 Sycamore was the old Granville house. The one George threw rocks at and made wishes. Yes, sir, that's where they spent their honeymoon. That's where they started housekeeping. They were still there 2 years later when old man Potter asked George to stop over at his office.
Sit down, George. Sit down. Have a cigar?
Thank you, sir.
George, you're a young man. Married. Make it say $40 a week at the building alone?
45.
45. Now, if you were some ordinary yokel, I'd say you were doing fine. But George Bailey is intelligent, ambitious. He hates the building alone almost as much as I do. He's been dying to get out of that trap ever since he was born, but he's trapped into frittering his life away playing nursemaid to a lot of garlic eaters. Do I paint a correct picture, George, or do I exaggerate?
Well, what's your point, Mr. Potter?
My point is, you're the only man in town who's licked me. George, I'm going to hire you. Manage my affairs. I'll start you out at $20,000 a year.
$20,000 a year? You're sure you're talking to me? I'm George Bailey, remember me? The building and loan, remember?
Yes, George Bailey, whose ship has just come in. Provided he has enough sense to climb aboard.
But what about the building and loan?
Confound it, man. I've offered you a 3-year contract at $20,000 a year. Is it a deal or isn't it?
No. The answer is no, doggone it. If you offered me $1 million to stay around in this town and play stooge to you, the answer would still be no. Now let me alone. Don't bother me.
George, what did Mr. Potter want?
No, it's nothing. He just talked. Nothing. Oh, gee, Mary Hatch. Mary, why in the world did you ever marry a guy like me anyway?
To keep me from being an old maid.
I was going to see the world. I was going to build things. I was going to give you the moon. And what have I given you? What have I given you? Not even a new dress, not for months. Gee whiz, I feel awful.
So do I. Mornings especially.
You could have married Sam Wainwright, anybody else in town.
I didn't want to marry anybody else. I want my baby to look like you.
You didn't even have a honeymoon. I promised you that you what?
My baby.
Your baby? You mean you're on the nest?
Well, Mary had her baby, Clarence, a boy.
You don't say.
Then she had another one, a girl.
Well, what do you know?
And night after night, George would come home late from the office. Things weren't good with the building and loan. Potter was really bearing down on them. Then came the war. Mary had another baby by then.
Oh.
But she still had time to help out in USO. Uncle Billy sold war bonds. And George's brother Harry became a real hero. Shot down 15 planes.
But George, what about George?
Well, George was 4F, his bad year. He was an air raid warden. On VE Day, he wept and prayed. On VJ Day, he wept and prayed again.
We're getting pretty close to today, aren't we, sir?
Yes, Clarence. You now know almost everything you have to know about George Bailey, except what happened that finds him down there at this moment, wanting to die.
Well, sir? Well?
Well, today's the day before Christmas, Earth time. George is pretty excited.
Hey, Tilly Eustace, hey, look at this paper. Oh, Commander Harry Bailey, decorated by the President. That's my kid brother, the Congressional Medal of Honor.
Gosh, George, gosh!
Yeah, what do you think about that, huh? 15 jet planes, and the last one he got was just about to dive into a transport loaded with soldiers. You know what that means? He saved lives, hundreds of lives. Gee whiz. Hey, where's Uncle Billy?
Gone to the bank, George.
Oh, yeah.
He's depositing that $8,000.
Good. Who's that in his office there?
It's that man again, the bank examiner.
Oh, yeah. Good afternoon, Mr. Carter. Hey, Tilly, get the books for Mr. Carter, will you? Hey, that's my brother's picture there. Mr. Carter, they shot down 15 planes.
Well, Mr. Henry Potter, come to the bank to deposit some more loot, eh?
You old fool.
How do you like the news in the paper, Mr. Potter? You just can't keep those Bailey boys down now, can you?
me see that newspaper.
Oh, sorry, I can't, you old thief. Gotta make a deposit. Oh, here you are, Horace. Deposit slip, bank book, and a very Merry Christmas to you.
You too, Mr. Bailey? Say, you've forgotten something, haven't you?
Horace, I've forgotten things all my life. Get a wiggle on, boy.
But, Mr. Bailey, where's the money?
What's that?
You do want to make a deposit.
Well, certainly I want to make a deposit.
Well, it's customary to bring the money with you.
It's gone. Where'd I put it? Where'd I put that money?
A terrible thing, Clarence. Terrible. Uncle Billy couldn't find the money because the envelope with the $8,000 was folded up in that newspaper he gave to old man Potter.
I just don't know what happened to it, George. I just don't know.
$8,000! Uncle Billy, the bank examiner's here, and it's not our money. It belongs to the depositor.
George, what are we going to do? We've traced every step I took. We can't stand here in the street.
Are you sure you didn't put it in that envelope in your coat pocket?
I think so. Maybe. Oh, I'm no good to you, George. I'm no good.
Now listen to me. Think, will you think? Now, try and think.
I can't think anymore. I can't.
Now, where's the money, you silly old fool? Where's the money? You know what this means? It means bankruptcy and scandal in prison. One of us is going to jail, though it's not going to be me. Now get out of the way. I'm going home.
George, what's wrong? You haven't said a word since you came home.
Banging on the piano. Does she have to keep playing that same piece over and over and over and over again?
I have to practice for the Christmas party, Daddy.
What is it, dear? Another hectic day?
Yeah, another five-letter day for the Baileys.
Dad, Murphy just got a brand new car. You should see it.
Yeah, well, what's the matter with our car? Isn't it good enough for you?
I'm sorry, Dad.
Run upstairs, Penny. See if Susan's all right.
Okay, Mom.
Now, what do you mean? See if Susan's all right. What do you mean?
Oh, she caught a little cold coming home from school. She didn't button up her coat.
Well, what is it? What do you mean, just a cold?
Oh, George, the doctor said it was nothing
The
serious.
doctor? Was the doctor here?
Well, I thought he'd better look at her.
It's this drafty old house. No wonder we don't all have pneumonia. It might as well be living in a refrigerator. Why did we have to live here in the first place today around this crummy, measly old town?
George, what's happened?
Oh, everything's happened. You call this a happy family? Why do we have to have all these kids?
How do you spell frankincense?
I don't know how you spell it. Ask your mother.
Where are you going?
Upstairs to see Susan.
Hello? Oh, thank you, Mrs. Welch. I'm sure she'll be all right.
Yeah, who's that?
It's Susan's school teacher. What? Oh, yes, the doctor says she'll be fine tomorrow.
Yeah, here, give me that phone.
George, please.
Yeah, Mrs. Welch? Yeah, this is Mr. Bailey. Say, what kind of teacher are you anyway? What do you mean sending Zuzu home like that, half naked? Do you realize she'll probably end up with pneumonia just because of your stupidity? Maybe my kids aren't the best dressed kids in town, but at least they... Hello? Hello? Janie, will you stop playing that lousy music? Now cut it out! Stop it!
George, for heaven's sake, what's wrong with you?
I'm sorry. Janie. I'm sorry, Mary. I've got to get out of here.
So that's it, George. You're short $8,000 in your accounts, eh?
Please, Mr. Potter, I'll pay any sort of bonus. If you still want the building and loan, I'll be happy.
You say it was lost. Have you notified the police?
No, sir. I haven't done that yet. Harry's homecoming is tomorrow.
Why come to me? What about your friend, Sam Wainwright?
I can't get a hold of him. He's in Europe.
What kind of security would I have, George? What collateral?
Yes, sir. I have some life insurance here. $15,000 policy.
What's your equity in it?
$500.
And you want $8,000? You once called me a warped, frustrated old man. What are you but a warped, frustrated young man? Crawling on your hands and knees for help. Why don't you go to the riffraff you love so well, ask them for help?
I'll do anything, Mr. Potter. Please, please help me. My wife and kids.
I'm calling the district attorney. $500. George. You're worth more dead than you are alive. Now get out of here. Get out!
And all the time, Potter had the $8,000 in his desk drawer. It's still there, Clarence.
But where's George, sir? Where?
Well, he went over to Martini's Cafe. He's had a couple of drinks, Clarence. He's just standing there, sort of in a daze.
Oh, God. God. Dear Father in heaven, I'm not a praying man, but if you're up there and you can hear me, please, show me the way. I'm at the end of my rope. Show me the way, God.
Mr. Bailey, are you all right? Don't drink anymore, Mr. Bailey. Please, you don't feel good.
Bailey? Did you say Bailey? Which Bailey?
This gentleman is Mr. Bailey, George Bailey.
George Bailey, huh? And the next time you talk to my wife like that, you'll get worse. It isn't enough she slaves teaching you stupid kids how to read and write. You gotta bowl her out.
You get out of here, Mr. Welch. You hit my best friend. Get out.
All right, I'll go.
Mr. Bailey, you okay?
Who was that?
Mr. Welch, but don't worry. He told to come in this place and no more. I'll get something for your face. It's bleeding.
Yeah, I'm all right. Leave me alone.
Please don't go away, Mr. Bailey. Please.
Leave me alone.
Well, George left Martini's Cafe 5 minutes ago, Clarence. He's at the river now, on the bridge, looking at the water. Are you ready, Clarence?
All ready, sir.
Very well. Save George Bailey's life and you'll get your wings.
My wings. Oh, thank you, Joseph. George Bailey, get away from that bridge. You hear me? George.
In just a moment, we'll bring you Act 3 of It's a Wonderful Life, starring Jimmy Stewart, Donna Reed, and Victor Moore. The popular theory about beautiful blondes is they're content to be merely decorative. Our lovely guest tonight, Miss Susan Blanchard, completely disproves that idea. Besides being a hard-working Fox starlet, Susan, I understand you're a wonderful cook.
I really love housekeeping, Mr. Keeley. But most of all, I enjoy the training I get at the studio. It's work, but it's fun, too.
You're an Easterner, aren't you, Susan?
Yes, a native New Yorker.
I thought so.
It was the Broadway theater that made me think of show business as a career.
That's interesting.
I used to save my allowance and go to every play I could. One of my favorite actresses was Jane Wyatt.
Aha!
Imagine, Mr. Keeley, what a thrill it was for me to meet her right here in Hollywood.
Jane Wyatt's latest picture, Boomerang, was made in the East, I understand.
Yes, but she and Dana Andrews, who stars in Boomerang with her, were in Hollywood to see a studio showing of the picture.
Oh, I see.
Jane Wyatt is my ideal of a stage and screen star. So talented and so lovely to look at. Just as lovely in real life, too.
She is indeed.
It wasn't long before I discovered that she's as keen about Lux toilet soap for beauty care as I am. You know, I'm a Lux girl, too.
We're glad to hear you say that, Miss Blanchard, because that's a very beautiful Lux complexion I see before me. Just right for blue eyes and ash blonde hair.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. Any girl in pictures is delighted to find out about Lux toilet soap as a beauty care. Active lather facials are so quick and easy, and they really make a difference in your skin.
Thousands of busy, attractive women have discovered that, Miss Blanchard. Daily Lux soap complexion care does make skin lovelier. Otherwise, it wouldn't be the choice of 9 out of 10 screen stars.
Lux toilet soap is all around a beauty care for me. I use it as a bath soap, too. It has such delightful perfume, leaves a lovely fragrance on the skin.
Thank you, Miss Susan Blanchard. I hope our audience will see that lovely Lux complexion of yours in a screen close-up one of these days. Now, back to our producer, William Keeley.
Act 3 of It's a Wonderful Life, starring Jimmy Stewart, Donna Reed, and Victor Moore. Numb with despair, convinced, as Mr. Potter said, that he's worth more dead than alive, George Bailey stands on a bridge, staring at the dark and frigid waters below. Suddenly, there's a splash.
Help! Help! I'm drowning! Help! Help!
No, that's not George. It's Clarence, the apprentice angel. And there goes George in after him. It's a few minutes later now, and in the bridge-keeper's shack, George and Clarence are drying off.
You both sure you're all right? You want a doctor?
Oh, no, I'm all right.
Oh, I'm fine. This underwear, I didn't have time to get anything more stylish. My wife gave this to me on her last birthday. I passed away in them.
You what, mister?
I see Tom Sawyer's drying out too. Who? My book. I left in such a hurry, I brought Tom Sawyer with me.
Yeah, how'd you happen to fall in?
Oh, I jumped in. I jumped in to save you.
You jumped in to save me.
Well, I did, didn't I? You didn't go through with it, did you?
Go through with what?
Suicide.
Hey, it's against the law to commit suicide around here.
Yeah, it's against the law where I come from, too.
Where do you come from?
Heaven.
Oh, yeah, that's very funny.
Your lips bleeding.
Yeah, I got a bust in a jaw in answer to a prayer.
Oh, no, George. I'm the answer to your prayer.
How do you know my name?
Oh, I know all about you.
Yeah, who are you supposed to be anyway?
Clarence Oddbody, AS2.
Yeah, Clarence Oddbody. What's the AS2 for?
Angel, second class.
Hey, I'm getting out of here. You may not need a doctor, but I do.
Cheerio, my good man.
Look here, why'd you want to save me?
Because I'm your guardian angel, George.
Oh, I see. Well, you look like about the kind of angel I get. What happened to your wings?
I haven't won my wings yet. That's why I'm an angel second class.
Oh, I see, yeah.
But you can help me earn them, George, by letting me help you.
Oh, yeah, you don't have any $8,000 on you, do you?
Oh, no. We don't use money in heaven.
Oh, that's right, I keep forgetting. Comes in pretty handy down here.
Oh, tut.
Yeah, I found that out a little late. You know, I'm worth more dead than alive.
You mustn't talk like that. Joseph will never give me my wings if you keep feeling that way. You just don't realize what you've done for your folks. Why, if it hadn't been for you...
Yeah, if it hadn't been for me, everybody'd be better off. My wife, my kids, and my friends.
Oh, this is not going to be easy.
Maybe I'll be better off if I'd never been born.
What'd you say?
I said I wish I'd never been born.
George, that's wonderful.
Wonderful? What?
With the idea you just gave me. Well, you've got your wish. You've never been born.
I've never been born.
Exactly. No worries, no $8,000 to get, nothing. You simply don't exist.
Yeah, all right, okay, all right.
George, I can do things. Strange things. I can show you the world, George. The way it would be if you hadn't been born.
Hey, wait a minute. This ear of mine. Hey, say something else in that bad ear.
You don't have a bad ear anymore. Oh, I don't think you're concentrating. Don't you see? You're not the George Bailey you think you are. You're nobody.
That's the doggonest thing I ever saw. That ear is...
Your lips stop bleeding too, George.
Yeah, hey, what's happening around here? What is this anyway? Yeah, I need a drink, that's what I need. What about you, Angel? You want a drink?
Well, I don't quite know.
Come on. Well, we'll go as soon as these clothes are dry.
The clothes are dry, George.
Hey, so they are. Oh, that's funny. Well, let's get dressed and we'll stroll on over to Martini's and then... I'm sorry. I'll stroll, you fly.
Oh, no, I don't have my wings.
Yeah, you don't have any wings yet, right? I forgot that again. A couple of drinks and we'll both fly.
What do you have, fellas?
Say, Nick, where's the boss? Where's Martini?
Look, wise guy, I'm the boss, see?
Okay. Well, a double scotch, will you, quick?
What's yours?
You know what I just love? Some mulled wine.
What?
Heavy on the cinnamon and light on the cloves. Offer you my lad. Light me now.
Now cut it out. Hey, look, mister. We serve hard drinks in here for men who want to get drunk fast. And we don't get any characters around to give the joint atmosphere. Is that clear? Or do I gotta slip you my left for a convincer?
All right, now, come on. Just give me the same as I ordered. He's okay.
All right. 2 double scotches.
Now, what about this place? It's all changed.
All of Bedford Falls has changed. You're having your wish, George. You've never been born. Oh, there'll be lots of things you've never seen before. Oh, good. Somebody's just made it.
Made what?
Every time a bell rings, it means some angel's got his wings.
What'd you say?
Now look, Clarence, I don't think you better talk about angels around here.
Don't they believe in angels?
Yeah, they believe in them, but...
Well, then why shouldn't people be surprised when they see one?
Hey, don't mind him, bartender. He's just a little fellow. He just never grew up. Hey, how old are you anyway, Clarence?
Well, next May I'll be 293.
All right. That does it. Out you 2 pixies go through the door or out the window.
Now look, Nick, martini. Will you
And
just
that's another thing. Where do you get off calling me Nick? And stop asking him about Martini. He ain't here. Hey, you rummy. Didn't I tell you never to come panhandling around here?
George, look.
Hey, it's Mr. Gower. Hey, Mr. Gower, listen, Mr. Gower, don't you know me? This is George Bailey.
You buy me a drink, mister? Just one drink, will you, mister?
Pinky,
Yeah, Nick.
throw the rummy out.
Oh, no, please.
Hey, bartender, that's Mr. Gower, the druggist.
That woman spent 20 years in jail for poisoning a kid. If you know him, you must be a jailbird yourself. Pinky, here's 2 more. Get him out of here.
Sure. This way, gentlemen.
Hey, look at me. I'm giving out wings.
Get up, George. Good thing he threw us in a snowbank, huh?
Where's Mr. Gower?
Mr. Gower doesn't know you, George. You see, you weren't there to stop him from putting that poison into that prescription.
What do you mean I wasn't there? Look, tell me, what are you, a hypnotist?
George.
Well, why am I seeing things here?
Don't you understand? It's because you were not born.
Well, if I wasn't born, then who am I?
Nobody. You have no identity.
What do you mean I have no identity?
No papers, no driver's license, no 4F card, no insurance policy.
Zuzu's bell.
What?
Zuzu's bell. I bought my little girl a bell to hang on the Christmas tree and I forgot to give it to her. I've got it right here in my... It's gone. It's gone too. Everything's gone.
You've been given a great gift, George. A chance to see what the world would be like if you'd never been born.
You're crazy. You're crazy as a bed bug and you're driving me crazy too. Now look, I'm going home to my wife and family. Do you understand that? And I'm going home alone.
Better not leave him alone, Clarence. Keep following him.
Joseph! Oh, I'll stay near him, sir. Poor George. He's seeing Main Street now the way it would be if he hadn't lived. The thing that's really shocked him, sir, is the building and loan office. Know what's there now? Pawn shop.
What's he doing? Can you see?
He's talking to Ernie Bishop, the taxi driver. He wants to go home.
You'd better tag along, Clarence.
Oh, I will, sir. I will.
Now come on, step on it, will you, Ernie? Now get me home. I'm off my nut.
Where do you live, buddy?
Oh, now doggone it, Ernie. Don't you start pulling that stuff on me. 323 Sycamore.
323 Sycamore.
Yeah. Hurry up. Zuzu's sick.
Okay, buddy.
Hey, look, Ernie, I don't know what's happened. I'm going crazy or something. I've got some bad liquor. Now look, tell me this now. You're Ernie Bishop, right? And you live with your wife and your kid down in...
You see my wife?
What do you mean, seen your wife? I've been to your house 100 times. What do you... we built it for you, didn't we?
Bud, my wife took the kid and ran away 5 years ago, and I ain't never seen you before in my life, see?
Okay, Ernie, okay. Just step on it, all right? Get me home. Mary! Where are you? Janie! Penny! Zuzu! Zuzu, where are you?
This is just an old abandoned house, George. You have no wife.
Where are they? Where are they? What have you done with them?
There you are, Bert. That's him. See, I told you.
All right. Put your hands up.
Oh, Bert the cop. Thank heaven you're here.
Look now. Why don't you just be a good fella and we'll take him to see a nice doctor?
Bert, now listen to me. What's the matter with you guys? Now listen, it's that fellow there. He says he's an angel. He's trying to hypnotize me.
I hate to use my nightstick, but I guess Ow!
Run! George, run! He can't hit you while I'm biting him. George, run! My teeth aren't what they used to be. Joseph! Help! Joseph!
Where'd they go, Ernie? Where'd they go?
I don't know, Dave. They just disappeared.
Clarence!
Oh, Joseph, I hope you don't mind my calling on you like I did.
It was very irregular, Clarence. You're by yourself again. Where's George?
He's at his mother's house, sir.
Well, if George hasn't been born, he has no mother.
Oh, he's being very stubborn, sir. He'll just have to find these things out for himself.
But his mother, that's a terribly bitter blow for a man, his own mother not knowing him.
You mean I shouldn't have let him go see him?
I mean, you'd better find him right away. Oh, and stop biting policemen, Clarence.
I'm here again, George.
My mother, my own mother didn't know me. If only Harry were here. My brother were only back from Washington.
Your brother fell through the ice and was drowned at the age of 9.
That's a lie. He got the Congressional Medal of Honor. He saved the lives of every man on that transport.
Every man on that transport died. Strange, isn't it? Each man's life touches so many other lives. Harry wasn't there to save them because you weren't there to save Harry. Don't you see, George? You really had a wonderful life. Don't you see what a mistake it would be to throw it away?
Clarence.
Yes?
Where's Mary? Please, where's my wife?
I'm not supposed to tell.
Tell me where she is.
You're not going to like it, George.
Where is she? I'll choke it out of you if I have to. Where's my wife?
The library. She works there. She's just about to look up for the night. So George! Come back! Oh, there must be some easier way for me to get my wings.
Mary!
I'm sorry, sir, but the library's closed.
Mary, it's George. Don't you know me?
No, I don't know you. Let me go!
Mary, please, don't do this to me, Mary. Please, help me. Help me. Where are our kids? Mary, I need you, Mary.
Get away from me!
Please!
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 Help!
Help me, Mary!
Help me!
I'm George! Mary!
Clarence?
Oh, where is he, Joseph? Where's George? I'm afraid I've lost him, sir.
You knew you shouldn't have let him try to see Mary. Now they're after him. A mob. They think he was trying to hurt her.
Joseph, I won't even get one wing, will I?
One more chance, Clarence. Get over to the bridge by the river. I think George has seen just about enough.
But the mob...
Don't worry, they've lost him too. Now, hurry up.
Oh, thank you, Joseph. Thank you.
Clarence! Clarence! Clarence, where are you?
I'm here, George.
Help me, Clarence. Help me. Get me back. I don't care what happens to me. Only get me back to my wife and kids. Please. I want to live again.
Oh, thank you, George.
I want to live again.
Boy. Thank you.
Please. Please. Let me live again.
George? George, is that you down there, George?
Now get out of here, Bert. Get out of here. You come any closer and I'll let you have it.
What the Sam Hill are you yelling for, George?
Come on now. George? George? Bert? Bert, you know me?
Know ya? I've been looking all over town for you. Where you been?
Bert! Hey, Bert! I'm alive again! Bert!
You sure you're all right? Hey, your mouth's bleeding.
It is. Hey, my mouth's bleeding. Bert, look at the blood come out of there. Will ya? And Susan's bell. Bert, I have it right here in my pocket. Here it is! Hey, it's Susan's. It's in my pocket. What do you know about that? Hey, Merry Christmas, Bert!
Well, Merry Christmas. Get in the car. I'll drive you home.
You will, Bert. Well, do that. And turn the siren wide open, huh? Merry Christmas, Bedford Falls. Merry Christmas. Old building and alone. Merry Christmas, Mr. Potter. Yippee! Come on, Bert. Come on with me. Come on. What are these people? They're reporters? Oh, Merry Christmas, reporters. Hey, Mr. Bank Examiner. Merry Christmas.
Mr. Bailey, there's a deficit.
I know. $8,000.
George, I've got a little paper here. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'll bet it's a warrant for my arrest. Isn't it wonderful? Merry Christmas. Hey, where's Mary, you know? Look at all this wonderful, drafty old house. Oh, isn't it wonderful? Have you seen my wife? Where's Mary? Mary!
Daddy, Merry Christmas, Daddy! Merry Christmas!
Kids! Hey, kids! Janie, Petey! Oh, I can eat you up. Oh, where's your mother?
She went looking for you, Daddy, with Uncle Billy. Daddy!
Oh, Susan! Oh, my little ginger snap. How do you feel?
Fine, not a smidgen temper.
Oh, not a smidge. Hallelujah!
Oh, George, darling.
It's Mommy! Mommy's home!
Mary!
George, what have you been?
Mary, now look, just let me touch you.
George.
You're real, Mary. You've no idea what happened to me.
Oh, you have no idea what's happened either. They're on their way here.
Who's on their way? The police department? I don't care. The FBI, the National Guard? I'm alive again, Mary. Listen, Mary, I'm alive again.
Yes, darling, yes. Now close your eyes and come downstairs.
What is it? Can I open my eyes here, Mary? What's going on here?
Now keep your eyes closed. You'll just walk over here by the Christmas tree and...
People? I hear lots of people. What is it? There's people.
Just 1 minute now. All right, we're all ready now, Uncle Billy. Come on in, everybody.
George, look, just look.
Uncle Billy!
Money, George.
Hey, and there's Martini and Mr. Gower. Hey, how are you, Mr. Gower? And Mrs. Thompson. Hey, and Tom. Everybody.
None of us would have had a roof over our head if it wasn't for you, George.
Oh, this is wonderful. Hey, Mary, look who's coming in. Mother. Hi, Mother. Hey, and Harry.
I got Mary's telegram, George. I flew it as fast as I could.
Hey, everybody, toast. How about a toast?
All right. A toast to my big brother George, the richest man in town.
Daddy, my Christmas bell. You didn't forget?
Forget? Here, honey. Here's your bell.
Daddy!
Darling, what's this on the table? What's this book?
The Adventures of Tom Sawyer.
Oh, look, there's something written in it.
Dear George, remember, no man is a failure who has friends. Thanks for the wings. Love, Clarence.
It's Clarence.
Yeah, he's a very dear friend of mine.
Daddy, teacher says every time a bell rings, an angel gets his wings.
That's right, Susan. That's right. That's right. Attaboy, Clarence. Attaboy. Happy landing.
So long as we can have such fine performances as we enjoyed tonight from Jimmy Stewart, Donna Reed, and Victor Moore. Jimmy, I'd like to thank whatever guardian angel whisked you back from Texas for our show this evening.
Well, that guardian angel was an airline's wings, Bill.
You were in Texas for the premiere of this picture, weren't you, Jim?
Yeah. Frank Capra and I went down for 5 openings in as many nights. Pretty good down there in Texas.
All of them in Texas, Jimmy?
Yeah, every one of them. There were 5 premieres in Texas. You know it's a pretty big state, and it takes that many premieres.
Jimmy, I'm sure your fans are proud to read that you received an honorary degree from Princeton just the other week.
Yes, how about that, Jimmy? Or do we call you Professor now?
No. It's just an MA.
Master of Arts?
Well, it might have been. I don't know. It might have been for murdering architecture. That's what I studied.
Well, you know, Donna has an honorary degree to her credit, too. LLC.
What's that, Bill?
LLC? Well, you can see for yourself. A lovely Lux complexion.
Oh, well, thank you, Bill. Thank Lux Toilet Soap. It's a wonderful complexion care. I use it faithfully.
With wonderful results, I see.
What's happening next Monday night on Lux, Bill?
Next week, we have another of the season's most successful films. It's 20th Century Fox's thrilling screen hit, Leave Her to Heaven, with lovely Jean Tierney, and a star who appears in answer to literally hundreds of requests, Cornell Wilde. Based on the best-selling novel of the same name, Leave Her to Heaven is the strange romantic story of a woman whose twisted mind and fiendish jealousy drive her to any lengths to hold the man she loves.
That ought to make great listening, Bill.
I wouldn't miss it for anything. Well, good night.
Good night.
Good night, and thanks for listening. Be with us again next Monday evening when the Lux Radio Theater presents Jean Tierney and Cornell Wilde in Leave Her to Heaven. This is William Keeley saying goodnight to you from Hollywood.
Here's a sure way to save on your meat and grocery bills. Turn in used kitchen fats to your butcher and receive a generous price for every pound. The worldwide supply of fats is still desperately short, and every drop you save helps in the making of soaps, refrigerators, and other needed items. So save and turn in your used kitchen fats. Donna Reed appeared courtesy of Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, producers of The Beginning of the End, starring Brian Dunleavy and Robert Walker. Jane Stewart will soon be seen in the Robert Riskin production of for RKO, Magic Town. Victor Moore will still soon be seen in Roy Delruth's It's Happened on Fifth Avenue. Our music was directed by Louis Silvers. This program is broadcast to our men and women overseas through cooperation with the Armed Forces Radio Service. And this is your announcer, John Milton Kennedy, reminding you to tune in again next Monday night to hear Leave Her to Heaven with Jean This is CBS.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. We hope you've enjoyed our show today as much as we did performing it for you. Truly, this is actually the largest cast that we've ever had, and it's a great example of the power of this story. Everybody wants to be a part of it. We're very happy that it's also been a part of our 10th season, the Best of Celebration. And we've got another fantastic show coming up entitled, Will You Wait For Me? It's two wonderful shows about the dilemma of having to choose between a life in the theater and marriage. And it's featuring a rare radio show called Make Believe Town, which is actually based on a true story of a Hollywood actress. And also, a special episode of A Day in the Life with Dennis Day. So join us next month, Sunday, January 22nd, right here at the Oak Park Arms for this wonderful show full of romance, music, and lots of fun for everyone. And be sure to check out our website at www.ttdyradio.com for the latest updates and show information. And now for the thrilling cast of those thrilling days of yesteryear. Playing the roles of Mr. Kennedy, Pop Bailey, Cousin Eustace, Martini, and Binky the Bouncer, Rob Rinaldi. Our announcer, William Keeley, Sam Wainwright, Randall, Mr. Welch, and the Sheriff, Don Gingle. The wonderful angel Clarence, Lars Timpa. His supervisor, Joseph, Tom Test. Playing Mr. Gower, Harry the Bridgekeeper, and Ernie, Evan Cater. Covering the roles of Bert, the man on the porch, Ed and Nick, the bartender, Tim Baker. Mrs. Bailey, Libby Collins, the woman, and Cousin Tilly was played by Diane Lively. Forget Uncle Billy, played by Dennis Stewart. And Mr. Potter was so fiendishly played by Bob Lamont. And the roles of the lawyer, Charlie the bank teller, and Mr. Carter, Aaron Wolfenson. Mrs. Hatch, Mrs. Thompson, Jamie and Susan Blanchard, Margie Gustafson. The role of Little Petey, played by Shane Friends. And the role of Zuzu by Bryn Friends. The director for today's show, very skillfully directed and also playing Mary Hatch, was Pam Turlow. No radio show would be complete without the synchronous sound effect stylings of Diane Lively, Pam Turlow, and Aaron Wolfenson. Special thanks also to the magnificent musical magic of Chris Mayhew on piano. And I am also the show's producer, as well as George Bailey, Ben Dooley. We'd like to extend our thanks to you, the audience, for helping our show to come alive and for living those thrilling days of yesteryear so that we could bring them back to you.
But wait, there's more. We have one more little gift that we would like to give you. Brent?
Oh
Sweet